Thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us. You have just returned from Georgia. Of course, we'll talk about your meetings in Tbilisi with your political group, the Socialists, which is one of the largest factions in the European Parliament. But first, I'd like to ask about the main issue that concerns everyone in Georgia today, Kaja Kallas' statement about visa liberalization. It seemed that you would sanction those individuals who are depriving the Georgian people of their European future, while ordinary Georgians will continue to enjoy this privilege. Did we understand that correctly?
Yes, the main aim that we had when we started to study how to let's say, to use any leverage regarding the repression in Georgia, the first idea has been from the very beginning not to punish Georgian people. Most of Georgian people are pro-European. Visa liberalization, it was an excellent achievement for the country. And the first thing is nothing that could hamper or damage the people's rights and the people's expectations. Then we had to examine how to deal with the fact that if we forbid the entrance with some type of passport, for example, official or diplomat's passport, this is not functioning because everybody has a second passport. And then the idea is to create in the framework of the visa liberalization regime in Europe, and this is not only regarding Georgia, it could be applicable to any other country. The idea is to suspend the visa-free regime for certain people, certain group of people, identifying the people. Meaning this is not a thing to be addressed to the citizens, but to really to create groups or types or list of people not being allowed to enter in the European. This is the idea, let's say, to put some pressure on the officials of Georgian Dream, but at the same time to avoid any harm on the citizens' expectations.
Yes. This is very important because propaganda here twists everything to its advantage. If it were not for these wise steps from the European Commission, we would again be seeing a wave of anti-European sentiments here. There are already reports that is a list of 2,000 people existing who will be restricted from traveling to Europe. Which passports will these restrictions apply to, and who are these people? High-ranking officials and their families?
Listen, what we evaluate, and this is in the hand of the Commission, but the idea of the Parliament, at least the people dealing with Georgia issues in the Parliament, is that can't be a small list of high-level officials. This has to be really to have to fulfill the expectations and to fulfill the aim of these new rules is to really have long list of persons. This is not about the color of the passport, this is about the names. And the name has to be enlisted and has to be enlisted taking into account their official positions, the relation with the official positions. What is really painful, not only for the Georgian people, I can imagine for the Georgian people, or even for us, there are the people related to the kleptocrats of the Georgian Dream visiting the Paris Fashion Week. We can understand that. These people is paying the luxury hotels in Paris with the money they are extracting for the public resources in Georgia.
Not only do they own hotels, but they also have properties in Paris and Spain.
Of course, and properties and family and whatever. And this is the thing we have to try to tackle. There are other leverage, but for the moment, I think, and the impression we received in our last visit to Tbilisi, is that this measure is going to be very well received in the country, because without harming the people.
And still, who are these responsible persons? For example, will this affect the former Prime Minister Irakli Garibashvili or current Prime Minister Irakli Gogsadze and his family, the head of the State Security Service, people from Ivanishvili's inner circle?
What the parliament expect from the commission, because now the big thing is we are avoiding the veto of some countries in the council, normally Hungary, and we are creating a system in which the commission is at the will, and the commission is free to decide. What is the political position of the parliament? The list have to be more than, let's say, a small list. No. The position of the parliament is we want to have a long list of people included in this exception to the visa-free regime.
So now everything depends on the European Commission. When will the decision be made? Will the Commission's conclusion be published at the beginning of November, or will the process be delayed further?
Now the thing is in the side of the Commission. You don't need the costly procedure of the Council and the vetoes. And for that reason, the Commissioner, of course, was very optimistic, saying we are ready to do something using the new system mid-November or end of November.
Meanwhile, repression in Georgia has reached catastrophic level. Now we have more political prisoners than in Russia. People are being arrested for wearing masks, even during flu season. Among them are my colleagues Nacho Sanchez, Amor, Tsirezhwania, Lika Basilaya. They were arrested on Rustaveli Avenue. Even the well-known doctor Vaja Gaprindashvili was detained. These people are fighting for a European future, and that's why we're expecting Europe's reaction and response.
Well, this what Georgian Ring is doing is following the playbook of the authoritarian rulers. It's more or less the same. It started to crushing the media freedom, crushing the opposition, and crushing any kind of criticism. And then this ridiculous measure of let's say, imposing fines on people standing in a peaceful protest for blocking the road, of that kind of legal tricks, is so ridiculous that I don't know if they are really measuring in which way they are going to be perceived, not only by Georgia, but for the rest of the people. They talk about imposing a fine to the president of the OSCE because she visited the premises of the Rustaveli of the Freedom Square where the protesters were, and then I don't know if she's being a foreign affairs minister of another country can be fine, but the playbook is exactly the same laws that Russia, the same pressure, the same use of any means in the public sphere to try to protect the power of Georgian Dream. And it's not very imaginative, I have to say, but it's always the same, and luckily in some places has functioned. I do really hope that we have overcome this period in which, after what happened in the 4th of October and the assault on the presidency palace, there was a feeling of frustration. But I'm very happy to see that the peaceful protest has continued.
You mean October 4th? What impression did you get of what happened on October 4th?
They tried to depict the peaceful protest in Rustaveli as always has been, without any kind of violence, and they tried to put together the trap of the secret services sending people to the presidential palace and searching for these images that they finally had to be used against the peaceful protester in Rustaveli. It was so blatantly clear that that was a trap.
Yes.
organized by the intelligence services is so transparent. The fact that somebody kicking, somebody kicking an iron fence is it's shut it's able to collapse an iron fence and that kind of ridiculous things. But they had what they wanted, the images to be used against the peaceful protester. And for that reason, I'm very happy that the protest is continuing as it always was, completely peaceful. And for that reason, I think hope is regaining ground in Rustaveli. I'm very happy to be able to say so.
However, it's becoming very difficult to sustain the protests on Rustaveli Avenue. We had a media march that day when Zia Marobel received the Sakharov Prize. But we witnessed such a brutal arrests that we could not have imagined. That's why I ask, will sanctions be imposed soon, including financial sanctions on Ivanishvili's circle? Will there be really effective measures done? I mean, not only travel bans, but also financial sanctions on Ivanishvili and his entourage.
Well, the problem we had before this solution regarding the visa is the sanctions, human rights sanctions in the European Union. The framework is the high representative is proposing to the Council. And we know for sure that in the Council, Hungary is protecting Georgian trade.
So in that regard, nothing has changed. As reported, the EU has almost agreed to transfer frozen Russian assets to Ukraine. And it was also said that in that case, Viktor Orban would again be neutralized, taken out for a coffee, as Scholz did the last time.
I'm not sure about what has been the position because first we have to examine and to give some legal guarantees to the country in which the deposits are, that is Belgium. Now the process is to examine from the legal point of view what could be, what could will be the consequences, the legal consequences for the country in which the deposits are, mainly in Belgium. I don't know what could be if finally there is a decision or a legal framework protecting this cautiousness coming from Belgium, if finally is going to have, let's say, a political veto from Hungary.
You are from the Socialist Group, which used to partner with Georgian Dream. Could you have imagined that this government would turn into a pro-Russian regime and start acting against its own partners and its own people?
When we had Georgian Dream as observer in the Social Democrat family, many years ago, I don't recall, it was in the year 15 or the year 14, the Georgian Dream, they were the reformists. Of course, we are not asking to our partners in the ex-Soviet countries to be socialist, because socialist is so difficult to understand in the post-Soviet space, but at least to be reformist. But we were warning Georgian Dream from many years ago because we didn't understand what was happening and what were the policies. I think things started to be sour after the Pride of the year 21st, if I recall well, when this cameraman was killed and there was a lot of injuries, and when the church introduced the narrative against the Pride parade, and we sent a very serious call to Georgian Dream saying this is unacceptable. From this moment on, we never received one single good news coming from Georgian Dream. And finally, we decided what was inevitable is to expel Georgian Dream. And they decided to, well, of course, they were aware about the expulsion intentions. They withdrew from our political family some days before. But okay, this is irrelevant. The fact is, for some reason that I can imagine, but I prefer not to be very explicit, in the year 21st, somebody decided to change completely the direction of the country.
Yes, it was definitely Bidzina Ivanishvili.
Your audience is as smart as you to understand who I'm talking about. Meaning, somebody decided the course was not Europe, the course was to be Russia, and then they started to prepare things to this change. What is the real grave things that I always recall? The problem is not to be pro-Russian. There are pro-Russian parties in Moldova. You could have in Georgia some pro-Russian political forces, but the problem is to hide carefully your intentions and then go to the elections hiding your idea of withdrawing Georgia from the European path. And immediately after the elections, not having mentioned this thing, you come out and say, no, we are not going towards Europe. This is the real cheating on the voters, on the citizens. Because if you are pro-Russian, you have to say, my model of society is the Russian model. One single man rule, no liberties, a mimicking of some elections, and then everything is done. But you can't propose that to the people. And if the people endorse that, you are a legitimate power. But the problem is when you hide carefully your real agenda and you use other things to have the support of the people, not explaining to the public opinion your real intention to withdraw of the European path.
Thank you very much for the interview. We're looking forward what will happen and what decisions will take European Union, European Commission.
We are following carefully the issue, okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nadia. All the best.
Thank you very much.